Right, everyone. Yeah, I've already cracked the cap on this because I started the video and then kind of messed it up and started it again. I haven't drank any of it. I just cracked the lid and then I was like, oh shit, and I had to restart the video. So yeah, all the people who like seeing the bottles being opened, I know sometimes that's the most exciting part of a video. Sorry, you've missed out today. We're drinking a Witchwood beer with it's the classic Witchwood cap, which has been heavily damaged by my bottle opener. Dunkelfester. It only comes out at Halloween, and I always look forward to Halloween just to get my hands on one of these. Or at least I only ever see it at Halloween. I don't know if you can get it the rest of the year. Anyway, I think I've reviewed this on the channel before, and I thought maybe I'd switch up these beer drinking videos. And they used to be beer and talk or booze and talk, and then they turned into just like reviews. I thought maybe I'll do like a beer video where I sort of pick a topic and talk about it. I don't know, just to mix things up, be slightly different. Yeah, I thought today I'd give my opinion on the new series of Doctor Who. I'm not like a massive fan of the show in general. Like I haven't watched like all of them all the way through. But I've watched a few of these, and I don't know. I've kind of watched a few reviews online, and there's a lot of different opinions about it, and I don't know. I just wanted to maybe give my thoughts on it because it's everyone's talking about it because it's the first time the Doctor's been a female. Who cares? I don't know. It doesn't seem all that important to me, but it's enough of a change to the series to get people interested in it, I think. Oh, it smells nice. It smells so treacly. Yeah, I didn't really watch Capaldi. I didn't like him that much. I didn't think he really fit as a Doctor. He's a good actor, but there was something about him. There's something about the character. It was like an old guy in a hoodie. He had sunglasses on. That was his sonic screwdriver, and he played the guitar, electric guitar. It just seemed, I don't know, it seemed a bit cringy to me, and I don't know, the writing didn't seem that good. I only really watched it when it was Matt Smith. I thought he was like really good as a Doctor. So yeah, I haven't really watched the Capaldi episodes, and when they changed up the Doctor, I thought, oh, I'll give it a go, see if it's any good. Wow, tasty. Although not as tasty as I remember it being last year. So something with Witchwood beers, sometimes we're a bit inconsistent, I notice. I think maybe they change up the recipes a lot. I don't know. I'm gonna have to take a fluoxetine as well because I haven't taken mine tonight. So yeah, Prozac and beer, it's a good combo, I'm sure. So yeah, about the new female Doctor, and there was a lot of sort of controversy around it. It was either people saying it didn't make sense to have a female Doctor because they knew more about, like, a lot of people who seem to know a lot about the lore of Doctor Who sort of found issue with it, like it didn't make sense somehow. I don't know enough about that kind of thing for it really to bother me. As a casual viewer, it didn't really seem like an issue. The other side of it was all these sort of people going, get over it, guys, it's a girl Doctor, as if people were really that bothered. I don't think people were. Yeah. So, I don't know, I thought I'd give it a go, and it's not very good, to be honest with you. Honestly, I've given it a good go. I've watched a few episodes, and I don't know what it is. It's the writing, I think. It's not the Doctor. It's nothing to do with the new Doctor. I just find I found it so dull compared to other series. Even like the few Capaldi episodes I watched, even though I didn't really like it that much, it seemed a lot more vibrant. And I don't know what it is. It feels dull. Like, I'll give an example. and this might contain a few spoilers. The last episode I watched was the one they were in space, and there was this monster that was eating the ship while they were on it. Holy shit, my god, we've got to save the ship. We've got to stop this monster. The monster was like indestructible. It was this little CGI, cutesy looking thing that would just eat anything in its path, any inorganic matter, and it was going to eat the core of the ship and just kill everyone, and it was just this terrible thing, and somehow they just managed to make it the most dull episode I've ever seen in my life. I don't know how you managed to take that premise and make it so boring. You see the monster, the main threat of the show, a few times, like, I don't know, now and then you see it pop up. The whole rest of the episode is people standing around in white rooms having tedious conversations. And then it just sort of peters out. It kind of builds up this premise. You think, oh, mate, it sounds interesting. That's an interesting idea for a show. And then it's like every episode I've seen, it kind of feels that way. Like they've come up with this idea and it's like, yeah. And then they've kind of run out of steam. Like they've got a few lines of dialogue down, and then like, oh, what are we gonna do? Or we just pad it out of all this conversation, and then it feels like they don't really know how to end the episode, so they're just like, oh, it's just over now. I felt the same way. There was an episode where there were these like giant spiders, and I actually started to think, oh, it's starting to pick up now, this show, because it felt like an old episode. Like I remember when I was a kid watching Doctor Who, and it used to like give me nightmares and stuff. You know, it was proper like you'd watch it and you'd be hiding behind the sofa. And you know, I just thought, oh, this is cool. They've got these like giant spiders attacking people. It feels like an old school episode. Like they've got this like spooky enemy, and it's quite creepy and, you know, a bit corny at the same time. I don't know. It felt fun, but then somehow they managed to just end up running around in a half-built hotel for the most of the episode. It just felt like, once again, they had this amazing premise for a show, or at least quite an interesting one, maybe not the most original, and they just seem to make it dull somehow. They're just running around in a hotel most of the time. Now and then a spider will come out and attack someone, but I don't know. It just felt like half-hearted. And the endings of the shows always kind of, like the ones that I've seen, have just felt a bit like, they just give up. Like the spider episode, bothered me about that is they just, to get rid of the spiders, this is spoiler territory again, they like lock them all in a room to like suffocate or like starve to death or something. Like the Doctor does this is a plan to get rid of the spiders. But then later on they go in, like, as they're like leaving the hotel, I suppose, they end up in a room where the big giant spider, the biggest one of them all, is, and that one is just dying because it's got too big, and apparently they can't breathe when they get so big, and it's just dying. And she's just like, oh no, oh, I'm so sorry to this spider, even though she's just locked a load of them in a room to suffocate. And then this guy comes out and shoots it with a gun, and she's like, oh no, don't kill it, oh. Like, I don't know, it seemed like they've got this kind of morality to the Doctor, which has been present in other episodes. Like the Doctor, the whole sort of, one of the main points of the show, I think, is to have this like sci-fi show where they solve their problems through like talking, or, you know, it's more clever than just like shooting everything and killing things. It's you know, they sort the problems out through like cooperation and stuff. But it seems like the Doctor sort of picks and chooses in this episode. There's a bit of inconsistency in that kind of morality. Like one minute she's locking spiders in a room to suffocate or starve or something. I can't even remember. It was that unmemorable. And then the next minute she's like, oh no, don't shoot them. And also there was loads of spiders that weren't in the hotel all over the town killing people. Like, what about them? They just never mentioned it. It just like the episode just ended. It's just like it ran out of steam, like it ran out of ideas. And I've heard that they're not making a Christmas special because they haven't got any ideas for a Christmas special. I don't know. I don't know. It just doesn't feel very good, and it's a shame because I know a lot of people were excited to see this new Doctor and see the show get changed up a bit. And I feel like the fact that they've got this female Doctor and it's sort of novel enough to get people interested. It kind of gives them an excuse to not really bother making the show make the show that interesting to engage people. Like, oh well, people are going to watch anyway for this new Doctor. They're not really bothering to make the show good enough to keep people, draw people in anyway. Yeah, I think it's just seems lazy so far, and yeah, disappointing. A lot of people have been complaining about the politics in the show, which I can kind of see. It's very I don't mind any if there's politics in a program, even if I completely disagree with them. I don't mind if it's done well, if it's written well. They could have made the Doctor like a neo-Nazi. That would have been, if the writing was good enough, that would have been all right. But there's a lot of politics in there, and it just seems very sort of heavy-handed and very sort of like they're trying to teach you a moral lesson with every episode, and it seems, along with the bad writing, it seems sort of like it's just sort of wedged in there. It's not done well. It's not sort of woven into the show in a sort of way that makes it feel like it's a natural part of the story. It's just like some kind of moral lesson is just sort of wedged in suddenly halfway through, and it's just like it just feels jarring and a bit sort of patronizing, I guess. I don't know. What I feel like is that by now, I think we're about halfway through the season. By now we would have seen the Doctor running around Victorian England fighting an ice cream monster. I don't know, just something stupid and insane like that. Like a really weird, interesting location mixed with some crazy monster. It doesn't really have to make sense. It's not always great, but at least it's vibrant and exciting and weird. And so far we've had a monster that kind of has teeth on his face, and spiders, which were quite cool, but like I say, they were just running around a hotel, and one where they're on a spaceship, and it's just the most dull, boring looking spaceship you've ever seen. You know what I mean? It doesn't feel like it doesn't feel like Doctor Who somehow. It feels a bit sort of half-hearted. I don't know. I think they need to get more guest writers in to write episodes, and just sort of change it up a bit. I think the Doctor is maybe too nice. I think they could probably turn the show around if suddenly it turned out the Doctor had this evil side or something like that. I've heard that the 13th Doctor is meant to be evil or something. So I don't know if they could change it up, make it somehow that this sort of nicey side to the Doctor is just some kind of front, and really the Doctor's got this dark side. And because I think Jodie Whittaker seems like she's a good actress, but it kind of feels like she's not really feeling the script as well. Some of the dialogue she's given, it feels like she's not really putting her heart and soul into it. You know what I mean? It feels a bit like maybe she's kind of reading it and cringing slightly and going, oh God, how am I going to deliver this line in a convincing way? And not really putting the effort in. I feel like she could be better if she was given a better script, but like I say, it's just half-hearted and dull. Sorry to say, if you're a fan of this series, I'm not. and maybe it just comes from being a casual viewer. But you know, I just wanted to give my opinion because everyone seems to be talking about it at the minute. I can't remember what else I was going to say about it. Oh yeah, in the first episode, this is another example of the weird sort of, they haven't really got the morals right of the Doctor. No, there's no consistency. There's a bit where they're on a train and they encounter this big like metal tentacle thing that floats across the carriage towards them, and they don't know what it is. They don't know if it's like an enemy or a robot or something. I don't know. They don't really try and establish what it is. But the Doctor immediately just picks up this like electric cable and shoves it into its guts and like kills it, like disables it. It's like that isn't. It just doesn't feel like that's something a Doctor would do. You know what I mean? Like in the past, she would have like maybe tried to speak to it or to kind of work out what it was before attacking it. Yeah, and like I say, and then later on in the series when she meets this giant spider and she's like, "Oh, don't hurt it," you know, it feels inconsistent, and it's kind of a sign of like the writing just isn't quite there, if you know what I mean. I feel like they thought having a female Doctor was enough to just not really bother with the making a good show. You know, I feel like they did the same thing with the Ghostbusters movie. They kind of had this gender swap, and they thought like that's enough. We don't really need to bother making a good film because you know, the novelty of having, you know, the controversy and the novelty is enough to get people watching it and talking about it because you know, and then we don't really need to make a good product because there'll be enough people interested in it anyway, for better or worse. I feel kind of the same way about this series. Anyway, that's I don't know. I thought I'd drink a beer and talk about that, and I finished my beer, and I don't think I've got much more to say about it. It's just, I don't know. It feels dull. I wish they'd get a better writer for the show. It doesn't seem good. You know, it just, I don't know. It seems a shame, really. It seems a waste. Hopefully it picks up, but I haven't got my hopes up unless they completely change the writing of the show. But anyway, if there's any other topics you want me to talk about and drink a beer at the same time, then let me know. But I'll just trying something slightly different here. And yeah, God, I'm boiling, sweating like a fuck. All right. On that note, bye.